on his patio. So you'll see John is logged in twice. So he is going to hopefully live stream some stuff later on.
Well, I'm at the breakwater because there's a picture I want to take here at 8:35.
Excellent. Well, you're getting a good signal coming in. So that's on your phone?
No, this is on my computer, and there's a hotspot here.
Oh, very good. Yeah, so that's working very well.
Yeah, I actually measured the speed rates, and you just got to have around 6 band down. My service actually get pretty fast download, but my uplink is only like 6 or 7, which is plenty. That's enough for Zoom.
Yeah.
You're breaking up, David.
Yeah, I'm at 580 at the moment.
I'll stick around here.
Excellent. So we've got, for those who are just joining us, we have 2 outside stations going on at the moment. So you'll see Randy's on the breakwater, and John is on twice, once inside, and he's also got an outside station on his patio.
Rooftop patio.
Yes.
I've got one on mine too, but I'm not going to promise anything.
So we'll see what we can see tonight.
Yeah, tonight might be the only partially non-cloudy day this week.
Yeah, it's cleared up really nicely this afternoon, so it's much nicer than it looked like it was going to be earlier on. So
I actually went out last night just after midnight, and it was cloudy and raining, but it was clear enough for the moon to poke out for a little while. I wish it had done that on Friday.
yeah. Well, that's what happens, isn't it? Something, something important or that we want to see happens, and the clouds roll in.
That's pretty normal.
Gives me an opportunity to catch up on processing.
Yeah, I guess.
I got my telescope out last night.
Wait, wasn't it raining though?
Well, it was weird. It cleared up at 10.
Well, it was just past midnight, and I walked out into the cul-de-sac, and it was pretty blotchy. Like all I could see was this.
I just fired that up there because I saw this on the Soho app there. And
Oh
so
yeah,
I
yeah.
went out and set up, and yeah, you could see that. It was quite neat.
Yeah, there's little spots now actually.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting collection there. So if you've got the equipment to see the sun and there's any clear spells coming up, that should still be visible. So
yeah,
That's a Soho scope, is it?
yeah, this is so one of their, let me just see if I can stop the share on that. And I think I lost the where I got it from, but yeah, I have the app on my iPad. So I happened to look at it earlier today and saw that cluster of sunspots. And I thought, I've not seen a cluster quite like that. So let's go and have a look at that. And there it was.
So you can also go to Space Weather as well.
Yeah,
And I think they have stuff from Big Bear, I think, in the top left corner.
I see Michael's looking at it there too. Eh?
Yeah.
So I just took that with the camera and downloaded it.
Oh, that's yeah, that's your shot. Yeah, so it's worth going out to see if you, as I say, if you have the equipment. See, we've got a few more people have joined us. You'll see some people are outside this evening. So we've got Randy on the breakwater, and John will be both inside and on his roof patio, trying to see if we can see the close conjunction there of Venus and Mercury that Bill told us about if you're on the RASC list. And then, of course, Mars would be near what, M35? Did I get that right, Bill?
Yep.
So Randy, when I walked outside just after midnight, this is what I saw. So it was
And I don't
big
have the,
clouded over.
I don't
It
have the
was big
picture on.
clouded over. Pardon me?
I don't have my picture on right now. I'm looking for something.
Oh, okay. Anyways, it was cloudy.
It's pretty cloudy, yeah. You can see there's a moon there, but not much detail.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
the clouds just parted enough that I had a really nice view of the moon for a bit, and I just borrowed the club's Meade, whatever, LXD 600 mount, so I had to make sure that it was working well, and it is.
I was just part of a conference, speaking of people being outside, I was just part of a Zoom call with the Sierra Vista Club, and they just did the very same thing as we're doing tonight for the public. And they ran into a bunch of problems and they discussed it at great length, and I'd be glad to talk to somebody about that offline.
That would be useful because I think, you know, with our plan for Astronomy Day in not too much longer, it'd be nice to know what pitfalls there might be.
Right, and I'm working on solving one of them right now, as a matter of fact. While I've got the mic, sorry to be a hog, does anybody own a Celestron scope? I need to borrow a piece. I need to borrow the extension that goes, screws onto the back of the Celestron scope and attaches to a T-ring for a camera.
Hmm.
Oh, for what size?
A C8.
Oh,
Oh, what length of adapter?
no, I got a C11 that I have that piece for, so.
How long?
Yeah,
is
you
it?
just need, you need the one with the SCT ring.
That's right, and
And
I have
it
one.
terminates in a tube or something like that.
Yeah, I
Is
have
the
one.
8
have
the
one of
same
those.
size as the 11?
Mm,
Yeah,
I don't-
but if
No,
yes,
no,
it
they're
would be.
no, they're not the
No?
same. No,
They're not the same. The
the rings are different.
Bruce Lane may have one, I don't know.
Okay.
I might have one, I think, but it'll be a Meade, but it's for an 8-inch, so it's probably the same because they're SCT ring, SCT to
Yeah.
T.
I just ordered a new visual back, and the 8s are different from the 11s.
Oh, is that right?
The
Okay.
11's much
Hmm.
bigger ring at the back.
Okay, fine. So Joe, I'll get back to you about it, please. I
Yeah,
borrowed Reg's. It turns out the 8 has quite a significant amount of coma. So in an effort to do a decent job of this electronically assisted observing, I borrowed Reg's coma corrector, but the extension I have is just about a centimeter too long, so I need a shorter one.
just to be clear, you're after an SCT to T adapter, correct?
Exactly right. Yeah, yeah. The one I have is about 105 millimeters long, and that's too much.
But the diameter of the ring is,
Like that.
oh, okay, because the one I'm thinking of is 3 1/4 or something inches.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I think the 11 supports the larger diameter eyepieces and stuff, and so therefore has a bigger fitting,
Oh, okay.
right? I think.
Okay, thanks, Dave. Anyhow.
It definitely does. I just ordered the Bader clock visual back, and I could see there was 2 of them. There was one for 8-inch up to 9.25, and then from there, the 11 is a bigger ring.
Where did you find some parts in stock?
Ontario Telescope.
Okay, I'll be calling.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's happy just around the full moon here. So welcome and on a rather clear evening. You'll notice if you're looking around that some people are outside. So we have Randy on the breakwater. John hasn't got his outside station on at the moment, but he's got set up on his roof patio at his building there. So he's on the 8th floor. So if you're on the list, you may have seen Bill pointing out that we've got a couple of near objects this evening, Mercury and Venus. But you need to see that right in the west at sunset. And then Mars will be near M35. So some opportunities maybe to see some things this evening. Both John and Randy wanted to show some things this evening. I don't know if anybody else has anything. And while we're, you can just let me know in a moment. Just to let you know, I attended a membership meeting with RASC National yesterday. And the new system is still in the works. It is getting closer. Obviously, it didn't make the January go live date that they hoped for, but it's getting closer. There's been some problems getting the information synchronized and ported over from the old system. And a part of what they're working on is people over the years have managed to create duplicate identities. So they're working to try and resolve that, and that's taking longer than they'd anticipated. But they are hoping that they will be there shortly. One of the other things that's coming up is they have partnered with a new merchandiser as well, and there will be some more options for different RASC wear, I guess, going forward. So stay tuned for that information to come out about that. So all being told, things are are progressing. So if you're ready, John, and in your indoor locale, perhaps you could show us what you've got.
I am. I'm indoors right now, and I am ready. So I'll just share the screen, Chris.
Yeah, please go ahead.
And oh, it's not allowing me to share, I don't think.
Okay, it should be okay.
Who is allowed to share?
Should be everybody.
Yeah, there's a green button at the bottom.
They say share screen.
Yeah,
So could somebody else try it? Well,
it's okay. I got it now. Something was turned off on my machine. Can you see it now?
Yep.
Okay. Now, what I want to show you, first of all, I think most of you will have seen this on Zenfolio. I started to do some pictures of the moon right around the time of new moon. Well, I've sort of continued that, and I'd like to show you what I've got. If you're not totally bored with pictures of the moon, Randy probably isn't bored, but some of you might be. Anyway, I'll just show you these. I have to take pictures of what I can get because I don't have a choice of everything from this rooftop that I'm in. But I now have quite a few pictures day by day of the change of phase of the moon. So I'll just run through them slowly and you can see them. You seeing all of that okay?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very good. And some of us have been doing the Observe the Moon or Explore the Moon program, so we'd actually observe those evenings. So it's neat to see it in the photograph. It really captured well.
Right. And there's the whole set.
Wow.
And just to tell you something interesting about them, we've had quite a few nice evenings with clear skies, but some of the critical ones I couldn't get because there was some cloud in the middle of the sequence. And fortunately, when I went back to look at previous photographs, it turned out I had one that just fitted in. So that was kind of neat. So anyway, that's all I really wanted to show you. Oh, and I guess the other thing to say to Randy, the one that I found, Randy, has that Daguerre crater in it.
You could see it well enough.
Yeah, I'll show you if you like. I think it's, let's see, which one is it? Not that one, I think.
It would be, no, it's earlier.
Might be.
Go back in time. There we
that
go.
one. Yeah. So if I blow this up right here, you can see it. It's right there.
Ooh, can you blow it up anymore? It's pretty subtle. There
It's
you
like
go.
a horseshoe shape.
Yeah.
Just like that. It's not terribly obvious, but once I knew what I was looking for after you showed us, I knew that that was it. And it
I'm always
turns out
amazed at how flat
this
the
image
moon
was
gets.
taken last year, but it just fit into the rest of them. So
So John, how are
John, how would you be able to track the libration? This is something that I'm very keen on, but it would take knowing what is actually
yeah,
north and south on the moon.
yeah. What I need to do that, Randy, and I thought about it after doing this, I got myself into quite a snarl trying to put all of these together. For one thing, the camera was on slightly different angle every night. I wasn't paying attention to that. And the second thing was that I took some of these with a different camera and different number of pixels and everything. It was a real pain in the behind to get them all sort of more or less together, but they're not as good as I would like. I think the only way I could do that would be to put some marks where I put the camera on so I can put it on the same spot every time and try to take a picture at the same time of night, which means the weather has to cooperate. So it's not easy.
It's
Not easy at all.
I just take a picture with whatever angle, but it's not good for studying the libration.
Right.
John, what kind of variation are you going to see? Because, I mean,
Yeah,
as long
if-
as you're using the same optics and the scale is the same, shouldn't they be the same, except for rotation?
In my case, the scale wasn't the same either.
Oh, okay.
So for the two cameras, unfortunately, it was kind of stupid. I switched cameras halfway through and I don't know why I did that.
Reserve one
Indeed.
camera.
I didn't need to. But if you, I'll just run through it as a slideshow and you'll see hints of the libration, but it's not very good.
It should be kind of rocking back and forth a little bit, right?
It should be rocking back and forth and it's not
Yeah.
because of the way I've aligned them. Anyway, that's enough of that. I'll just stop the share.
A nice collection of photos.
Mhm.
So I'm going to head outside in a little bit, and when it gets dark, and try to find Mercury. And when if I have it, I'll come on my other computer, and I'll join Zoom again, and maybe be able to show you something. I don't know. We'll see.
Very good. Randy, are you able to show what you wanted to, or?
Yep. So first of all, why am I out at the breakwater? I've been waiting for this day for a couple of months because at 8:35 precisely, the moon will be exactly on the line of the last segment from the lighthouse. So I hope to catch the moon just about 3 degrees above the horizon, right at the end of those rails. It's quite a bit of cloud in the east, so I don't know if that's going to work, but I'll keep you posted. Okay.
What time is that, Randy?
At 8:35, the moon rises at 8:31.
Okay.
And 4 minutes after that, it's going to be exactly in line.
Nice.
So next month there's a day that it's going to work. We'll see. Anyway, as many of you know, every day I post a picture in Enkin's Daily Moon, and this week I am featuring comics by Randall Munroe that he calls XKCD. I don't know why he calls it XKCD, but it's a science-based comic, and it's really quite fun. That comes out 3 times a week, and in this one, he does this very clever logarithmic scale of height over the Earth, and I just wanted to walk through it because I found it so clever. So, starting with this one, starting at 46 billion light years up, and I don't know if somebody can explain it for me, but there's papers about how, yes, the universe is 14.6 billion years old, but the light going away from us, from the Big Bang, is now 46 billion light years away, which is more than twice as far. Anyway, there's something, I mean, it is something that has been published. I would like to understand it a bit better, but there you go. So going down, whoa, that's not what I wanted to do. Let's get that to a reasonable size. I'll do it this way. There we go. Okay, so that's supposed to look like a pulsar. And so this is kind of where you're looking in the Hubble Deep Field. So that's from 46 billion all the way to 1 billion light years away, all in that one little length. Great attractor. Great attractor is a statement about this region with lots of galaxies. Anyway, we're moving down. Where's the scale on the side? It should say somewhere. I'm not seeing the scale.
I'm not either.
It's in the middle of the picture. I see 43 at the top and then 100.
Okay. Anyway, we'll have to make it up as we go along.
There's 1 million light. There's 1 light year there. So there's.
Yep. So Andromeda is here. So we're really coming in very close. He says, holy crap, lots of space. There's one of the interesting things is when you look on the logarithmic scale, there's a lot of stuff out at 1 billion light years when you're looking at that scale. And there's a lot of stuff when you're looking within the galaxy, but there's in between, it's kind of not a very populated part of the universe. Here are the Magellanic Clouds that you only see in the southern hemisphere. And now we're into the galaxy. And the Crab Nebula is further away than the Orion Nebula. I would have thought the Horsehead Nebula is closer to us because it's a shadow in front of all that redness in the Orion Nebula. Be interesting what people think. The Romulan neutral zone, I'm sure that's very accurately plotted. Here's some more of Orion. So Betelgeuse and Rigel are quite a bit closer than the nebula. Ford Prefect is the guy in Hitchhiker's Guide who comes from a planet around Betelgeuse. Here's where the earliest radio transmissions from Earth would be by now. So we're getting out somewhere around 100 light years. Arcturus, Sirius, we're getting closer. Bernard Star and Alpha Centauri are the closest stars, and we're 1 parsec away. And 1 parsec is about 3 light years. One of those interesting, almost coincidences in astronomy. And now we're coming to the outer ranges of the solar system, the Oort cloud, which is still hypothetical. It's just an idea. That's where the comets would have come from. bupkis. Do people know what bupkis means in Yiddish?
No.
Nothing, worthless.
Right. So here's the comet that will destroy the Earth in 2063. I looked this up. There's some way of reading Revelation that says the Earth will be destroyed in 2063. It's for those people who like to think of disasters. Here are Pioneer 10 and 11 and Voyager 1. There's Pluto, Neptune, Uranus. We're coming along. This thing about life, that's kind of saying maybe Enceladus and Europa have a bit of potential to support some life. I really like this. This is in terms of distance from Earth. So here's one astronomical unit. And on this log scale, this is what the distance of Mars and Venus would look like. And Mercury doesn't move very much. It's basically always one astronomical unit away. Oh, that reminds me of something. What's the closest planet to Earth on average?
I think it's Mercury, isn't it?
Yep. What's the closest planet to Jupiter on average?
Probably Mercury again.
Mercury is the closest planet to all the planets on average.
That's interesting.
There you go. One of those little known facts.
Good for something.
Here's 2001. Although, wait a second. That gets all the way out to, what is it? Saturn in the book and Jupiter in the movie. Anyway, at some point it's here. I don't know what this is a joke about. A bowl of salt? I don't know. Anyway, there's the moon. And interestingly, the humans that have traveled furthest away from Earth were on Apollo 13, which is another thing I didn't know. But that's how they got back to Earth, was going to precisely that orbit around the moon so that they got back. Second place, Snoop Dogg. And I think that's just because apparently Snoop Dogg is noted for getting high on something. Here's where the geosynchronous orbit would be. Quite a bit lower, the GPS satellites. I have no idea what this thing is about. They shouldn't have sent a poet. But way close to the Earth, just outside the atmosphere, you've got the space station. Oh, and I heard something on the radio tonight that the SpaceX that took the astronauts to the space station this week, they were so close to some space junk, they had to be in their pressure suits.
I heard it was a Tesla.
So now 100 kilometers up, that's where the meteors are, where we see them. The highest balloon, airliner. Now look at this. We're at a 16th of an atmosphere, a half an atmosphere. That's where helicopters fly. Just think of it. The helicopter on Mars is working in 1/100th of an Earth atmosphere. Not an easy engineering feat.
But it weighs less there too.
Good point. So now we're into kilometers and meters up. 800 meters, the tallest buildings. One thing I read is that if you plotted the Eiffel Tower on a log scale, it would be perfectly straight-sided because they're exponential curves. Anyway, there's a giraffe and a dinosaur and somebody on stilts. Here are people, and here's the grass. So sizes are not to scale, but heights above the Earth's surface are accurate on a log scale. How about that?
Very cheerful.
Anyway, that tickled me, and I thought it might tickle some of you too.
That's a really neat find there. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, good going,
Where do you
Randy.
where do you find that, Randy? What's the reference to that?
Oh, XKCD is this,
KCD. Okay.
yeah. He chose it because it's not pronounceable. There's no way of actually saying that acronym for anything or that. He's just this really, really clever person. He's been doing it for probably 15 years. And it's often topical. It definitely has a lot of science, a lot of computer coding, a lot of stuff about human relations. It's definitely a comic to pay attention to. And then there's a website called Explain XKCD, where the authors actually will take each one and explain what they see in it, and then they open it up to the crowd, and it's kind of a crowdsource where people talk about what they see in it.
That's very neat. Well, thanks again.
And wish me luck with the moon in 36 minutes.
How's the how's the sky looking out there?
Above me, perfectly clear. The question is, at 3 degrees above the horizon, will the clouds get it?
Yeah.
So I might miss it. It might come 10 minutes late.
So does anybody else have anything for this evening or any questions for or topics of discussion? Go ahead, Dorothy.
Yeah, and it sort of follows up Randy's in a way. He had that cartoon showed the Magellanic Clouds outside of the Milky Way, and they aren't at all. I have a very short presentation from some cool news about our galaxy. If I could present it now, maybe while it's still too light for the observers to be looking at things.
Sure.
And I'll see, I'm afraid I'll try sharing the screen and hoping it's not as disastrous as the last time. Okay?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Oh, this is different, but let's try this. Okay.
So we may be on your other screen again?
Oh, this is changed from the old days. Whoops. Now
So I don't know if you can put what you want to share on this on that screen or
join a meeting. I've already joined.
Yeah, you're still here.
So and I'm seeing join a meeting.
Oh, so you're looking at your Zoom on your browser, but that we're not seeing that. We're seeing, I think, your background image.
We did for a while. Okay. I'm back to oh, shoot. Meeting controls, Zoom cloud meeting. But I'm not trying to launch a Zoom. I'm trying to join one.
Well, actually, you're already in one. So you should be able to maybe try and stop sharing. So there should be a red button at the top of your screen.
There are no buttons anywhere.
Oh. Can you see?
Chris, why don't you just punt her out and then she'll get back.
Sure, I'll turn off the sharing. Okay, so now we're back. What did that do to your computer, Dorothy? Is that
okay? So I see you all, and I have a share screen at the bottom, which is what I pushed.
So when you pull that up, make sure you choose to share the screen.
Yeah, so down at the bottom, share screen, a green
Yeah, so if you use the up arrow beside, or no, if you click on the icon, you should get some choices.
Yep.
And try the one that says screen.
Oh, screen one that shows everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
share that one, because that's one you're looking at. Let's see what we get this time.
Okay.
There, now I
now-
think, yeah, now you can open that.
Okay. Well, it's-
That's got it.
okay, so let's do a slideshow. This is ridiculous. Okay, so, and how do I get rid of this thing? Okay.
So we're seeing your slideshow, so I think it's fine on what we're seeing.
Okay, so you're seeing astronomers release new all-sky map of Milky Way outer reaches, right?
Correct.
Okay, so this is from April 21st. It's pretty recent. So just the news release is what caught my eye, and these astronomers, the group, combined data from Gaia on the left, which, as you know, is optical photometry, magnitude 3 to 20 stars, mag 20 stars,
I'm just getting ready to do the
and from the infrared astronomy from WISE or NEO-WISE to get a sample of giant stars across the entire sky, and they could exclude the Milky Way. Now, here's at the story at the bottom is the picture that what Randy just showed basically was based on. But what it shows the Magellanic Clouds out here, but they actually are in the outer halo of the Milky Way. So they are already in it. Here's the reference, I don't have to read it, for this all-sky dynamic response of the galactic halo to the Large Magellanic Cloud. So anyone would like to look it up who can do that. It's available on the DOI. So this is a screenshot just in case what I want to show next, which is the video, doesn't come up. It shows the basic results, the Milky Way across the center, of course, the LMC coming in, and the LMC's wake through the dark matter outer halo of the Milky Way galaxy. And the exciting thing for astronomers is that this new study is leading to analyses of what dark matter might be made of. So let's see if this is going to work now. I did it. Okay, I'm hoping that wow. Okay, so here's the picture you just saw, and it shows the two Magellanic Clouds down where they are now in the lower right, and the labeled figure, which is what I took a screenshot of, showing that the bright spot in the southern part of the dark halo is the LMC wake. And if we go down here, this is something you can catch on. We have I think, a kind of neat video. Go to full screen here. Just keep an eye on the Milky Way becomes a very small oval in the middle of this video as it moves out and shows the path of the LMC. 3 dimensions. It's pretty neat. Maybe shall I run it just once more, because we kind of missed the beginning of it. There's the distance from the center of the galaxy, but still coming in well within the dark matter halo.
Interesting.
the dense dark matter in the northern hemisphere that is, as far as I can make out, isn't completely understood, but it was known. So what the LMC is doing is creating a wake, stirring up stars, which are being plotted in this view. So let's see if I can, if I do this, I should get back to my, sorry, I want to get to my last slide. So besides showing the path of the Milky Way coming in, so the path has created this wave of stars behind it, through this space in the dark matter halo. And this had been hinted at that this should have occurred, but this confirms it. And so the implications from this, from the analysis, is that the location and shape of the wake indicate that this is the first flyby of the LMC, which is something at least some years ago I'd read was still being debated. The LMC will collide with the Milky Way in about 2 billion years. And this is intriguing because the sun, solar system, will be only 3/4 of the way through its life at that point. And if in 2 billion years there were any astronomers left living underground, probably, it could be an interesting time in terms of stirring up what's happening in the arms of the Milky Way. And looking at analyzing this track through the dark matter is it's hoped to find out something about basically the consistency, that meaning the nature of dark matter particles. The analogy is with thinking of a ship going through water, leaving a wake, or going through, say, honey or molasses. The wake would look different. So the consistency of the wake, the consistency of the dark matter should be shown. So, okay, so that's basically the end of the slideshow. I guess I didn't get into, so how do I stop screen sharing?
So at the top of the screen you're sharing, there should be a stop.
Stop video.
So Dorothy, Dorothy,
yeah, listening.
In the wake looks like it's a concentration of dark matter following the LMC.
It's the outline is showing, is marked by stars that are stirred up. Now, going back, because I went quickly over that, but of course, the Gaia cannot detect any but the very brightest stars out in the outer reaches of the galaxy. The LMC, SMC have a lot of bright stars. Of course, they're dwarf galaxies themselves. So those are picked up with Gaia, but the much fainter stars and farther out are not. And that's where, using the WISE data from the WISE telescope, the infrared data allowed the mapping of stars through the dark matter halo, or through the halo, which is thought to be mostly dark matter.
So are stars being drawn into the wake or pushed away?
There, think about what happens with if a ship goes through sailing through calm water, basically, but that has a lot of little particles on it, like the stars. They get moved out, and you have lined up this is the way I think of it. You get an edge. Well, the wake where it's stirred up, you see this looking out the back of a vessel going through water, and that's basically what's being picked up by the the telescopes to and mapped here.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
As a ship
Sorry?
goes by, you'd have low pressure behind the ship, right? And
Yeah,
that would suck things into
it.
it. Whereas at the bow, you've got a high pressure, and that's sort of pushing stuff out of the way.
Right. So that's what is what, as I understand it, it sort of intuitive, figuratively, it makes sense to me that you would see if since the galaxy, the dwarf galaxy, is going through matter of some sort, and there are stars that can be picked up by in infrared as well as optical wavelengths.
Right.
That these are what are showing the passage of the galaxy through this outer region of the dwarf galaxy, through the outer region of the Milky Way, which is so much larger than what we think of as the Milky Way when we look at those beautiful pictures of the spiral galaxy. I thought that was pretty cool to see that path, and the fact, the timing of it, of course, the fact that the LMC will be pulled actually into the galaxy, into the core of the galaxy, into this Milky Way as we know it in just 2 billion years. It's coming up in galactic terms pretty soon.
So don't let your property insurance lapse.
Yeah.
Have you got
Better to
asteroid
move to
collisions?
southern hemisphere or the equator.
Very good. Well, thank you for sharing that. I hadn't seen that that report. That's neat.
Well, I feel a little better that I did get online, but I'm still going to need to practice. I've been having nightmares about the disaster the last time, and I don't want that to happen at a star party. So you'll be hearing more short things from me.
Okay. Very good. I guess we lost Randy. Looks like. So I don't know, what are things looking like, John? You able to see? Or he may be outside.
I think you lost John too.
Well, he was going to run with 2 stations, but yeah, I think he may be outside at the moment and he hasn't logged back in. So, yeah, we may have lost him too. Great. Does anybody else have anything while we're, you may have probably saw Bill's note say he was heading off to see if he could see his targets there. So. Everybody's very quiet. Maybe I'll just mention too that there's some planning going on for Astronomy Day, and I believe Lori will be telling us more about it next week. So stand by for that as we are trying to do some put together a virtual event from multiple sites. So we'll see how that works out. It
Chris?
can work. Yes, go ahead, David.
Chris, I do have a question for anybody here that's in the beginners group or the getting started astronomy group. I'm open to suggestions for the next meeting. I've had a few people mention, or at least one person mention that they would like to understand better what kinds of objects you can see in different kinds of telescopes. So hopefully we'll have a number of seasoned observers with us that night and maybe explain that. But if there's other topics as well, please pass them on. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, David.
I guess I'll just jump in since SIGs are part of the deal right now. The astrophotography SIG is happening this Wednesday. So if you are a member, you already know that. And if you're not a member, you can contact John and he can make you part of the deal.
Okay, thanks for letting us know about that. So I lose track of which is on which night. And when's the when are the next ones, David? Otherwise, that you said they're all in May, I think, right?
Yeah, so the first Tuesday in May is the Getting Started Astronomy, and then a couple days later, on the Thursday, will be the EAA group.
So basically next week then.
Yeah.
For those
Something I should mention, there's a number of people from the EAA group. We've been busy the last couple of weeks, so we have a few things to show. I'm thinking that maybe in a couple of weeks, we'll probably do a little bit of show and tell on what we've been doing.
Yeah, that would be good. Is that some of the group that are planning to do some of the Astronomy Day stuff as well?
Yeah. I mean, we certainly have Plan Bs. We've talked a lot about Plan Bs, actually. I'm assuming we're going to take whatever clear skies that we have, and we're probably going to do a little bit of recording, just in case the weather's not good on the Saturday, which often happens.
Right.
But I don't know if anybody else here quickly wants to comment, but I've actually learned a lot with the group, not only with my own equipment, but seeing what other people are doing. So it's been a lot of fun in the group.
I'll comment on that. What I didn't realize is live stacking software works when you're live stacking, of course, but it also works when you're not live stacking. If you have if you take a bunch of pictures and just fire them in a folder, any folder, and then you start your live stacking looking at that folder, it will process each frame in order, which is actually might even be a better way of doing it, David, than relying on real time, because it would be faster.
I actually have thought of that in terms of recording the sessions.
Yeah.
Is that we could just retain all the images that are used for the live stacking,
Yeah.
and we can control and roll the stack forwards and backwards at will.
Yeah.
That's true if your scope is fast.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's the other thing we're learning. We're probably giving away a lot of stuff from the presentation, but we've learned a lot. It's not necessarily intuitive, but no, it wasn't necessarily intuitive for me.
No, it's been fun though.
Yeah, challenging.
So I learned something very important about doing this. I was actually blinking through a bunch of images on the EAA, and I discovered one source of oval stars. It's uncorrected Peck. Like big time oval stars with uncorrected Peck.
So Peck, for people who don't understand, is periodic error correction, which is your gears not doing the thing they're supposed to do.
Yeah, it's
working against you instead of
it's
for
nothing like
you.
body odor or something like that. No, sorry.
You learn a lot about defects, all sorts of defects in real time.
You sure do, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Well, certainly, I think going forward, we're going to need more and more of this, because certainly I don't think we're going to be in a position of sharing eyepieces and having people looking through telescopes for quite some time. So
here's something that folks down south found out when they had a virtual star party and they had folks doing live stacking. What would be really handy dandy is to be looking at the live stack actually happening, but also have the observer in a little corner of the screen talking at the people, interacting. That's really, really important, they discovered, especially kids. Kids like to actually talk to the person that's actually doing it and ask them a whole pile of questions, and that kind of captures them. So we've got to figure out a way of doing that.
I kind of thought about that already in terms of doing EAA live, that in reality, we kind of need like an overhead or overview camera showing the operator and the equipment, and then obviously the stack going on the screen as well. Yeah, you're right. We need to sort of simulate the environment. When I thought of doing this a couple of years ago live up at the CU, that's what I had envisioned, that we would be on the deck or something like that, and we would be enhancing the views by using this method.
Yep.
You want the whole experience. You're absolutely right.
If it's not dark or if it's cloudy, Like you can talk right over, you can talk while you're playing a recording,
Yeah.
right? And
So the overlay software is important somehow.
Well, I don't think you need overlay software. I mean, you can do this with using Zoom or anything,
Zoom over.
and just
Zoom works, actually.
just simulcast. I mean, you're doing screen shares anyway.
But
Yeah.
the screen share, yeah, you can do that. That's true. You're absolutely true. Yeah, we thought of that.
You can actually have multiple sources in Zoom.
Yeah, a
multiple
second
cameras.
camera as well is
So,
the way to go.
Oh, you can.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
there you go.
can. You can. I actually have one ready to go here actually for showing small objects and things like that. I just never engaged to use it. So, but we can do it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll pass that along, and they'll be impressed how smart the Canadians are.
Very good.
I don't know about that.
Well, I don't know if you looked at the General Assembly broadcast last year, but they were doing that.
Yeah.
Vancouver Center was doing that all the time.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, the multi-camera thing is good. It's a good way of doing it. Breaks it up a little bit too.
I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna get the live stacking software going, and then try and get another image up on it without.
You can just plug in another webcam and share what you want.
Yeah, you could do that, or you can get one of these things. These are really hard to get. These are really hard to get. Probably about 6 months ago, it's almost impossible to get. But I saw it pop up at Best Buy and I picked it up right away. But it's just a little adapter that has HDMI. It has USB on one side, and then it has HDMI out. So as long as you have a camera that can take the HDMI piece, then away you go. You have a secondary source.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, that's used for digital SLRs in particular, where they have a little HDMI out port, and so you can share that if you want a really fancy camera to share, or you can just use a webcam.
Yeah, so the only gotcha is if you can't get rid of the menus on your screen, then it's not gonna look right.
Hmm.
I thought that was a taser you were holding up.
I'm by myself. I don't have to defend myself. Except against myself, I guess.
So I don't know, John, are you in earshot there, or maybe not? So I don't know if we want to wait and see if he's getting anything, or if we just want to call it an evening. Thoughts?
Still pretty late.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It'd be interesting to get a report from Randy about what he's seeing, because he's just coming up to, he's getting close to the time he wanted to try for that photograph, but.
It looks terrific from here.
Yeah.
So I could tell some things to people. In the downtime during the cloudy section of last week, I've been getting ready to do variable star observing. So I actually shared with the EAA group characterizing my sensor. So I've recently done that. So I have a better understanding of the nature of the sensor. You have to have a fairly linear sensing device when you do variable star observing. But as I get closer to actually doing my first observation, I'll prepare a presentation to share that with people. I don't know how many people are interested in doing that, but there's a lot of technical stuff you have to do ahead of that before you actually do your first one.
So David, were you the guy interested in spectroscopy or not?
Oh yeah, I am as well. I haven't dug up my star analyzer for quite a while, so I'll have to locate it. And yeah, I'd be curious to do it. You can certainly do simple stars quite easily with the star analyzer. It's about $200 to buy the filter, and you can break up the starlight.
Yep. Because I think a lot of people would be fascinated to know that just by looking at the light in the star, you can tell what the star is made of. That's just an amazing thing.
Yeah, we haven't had a spectroscopy presentation for a while, so maybe it's time. Maybe we can invite Tom Field as well. He often does guest spots. If you ask him, he'll come online with you. Tom is actually the guy who writes RSpec, the thing that can analyze the image that you take with the analyzer. He has a piece of software called RSpec that actually takes the image and shows you all the lines, all the spectral lines.
Yeah, could you follow up on that maybe? And
yeah, I could certainly. If people are interested, I'll contact Tom and see if he will just come on one of the cafes and tell us about it.
Yeah, because we're having kind of theme nights occasionally, and we haven't really had one for a couple of months now, I guess. So
yeah, I'll get a hold of Tom.
I'm
curious. I'm curious if there's other people that are interested in different topics. We could get different people to guest speak for us. I was trying to find somebody to do the occultations, and I think I still will try to locate somebody who's kind of a more expert occultist than I am. I have followed the odd occultation, but it would be neat to hear somebody who's really hardcore. I'm a bit of a dabbler, so.
Yeah, well, especially if there's another, one that would have been good to see coming up, kind of would be good.
Well, I'll be watching for those, sure, because I don't want you guys to miss one. If you've never done one, you have to do at least one. So to see what they're like. The planets are often occulted by the moon, and bright stars traveling along the ecliptic, right? So stars like Aldebaran are very commonly occulted. And then the stars in Virgo, like New Virginis, it's not that uncommon.
And it's probably neat to see one with the moon, as you say.
Yeah, and I'm actually looking for grazers, because the grazers are the most interesting, because they actually skim the edge of the moon, and they're very cool because you can watch it blink on and off as it goes by.
Yeah. Very neat. Well, I don't know.
Here's a question. Does anybody have any projects that they're working on right now? Like either observing or building projects? Is there any, or are you acquiring equipment? Are you looking for equipment? Anybody doing that? I know in the EAA group, some people were kind of looking for what to look for EAA equipment. And so we talked a little bit about that.
I just acquired a new photo grade printer, so I'm inkjet printer. After swearing off printing photographs for the last 15 years, I've decided to start printing again. So I've got myself a 17-inch carriage printer with 10 carriages, 10 cartridges in it, so it can do full.
Do you think it'll be cost effective, or are you going to kind of printing?
It doesn't have to be cost effective. It certainly would be more cost effective to send it to a lab. It's just a matter of the reward of printing your own stuff. So I'd like to print some astronomical images, and this printer in particular does blacks really well. It has 2 black cartridges and 3 grayscale cartridges out of the 10. So doing black is one of its fortes. So things like moonshots, night sky shots, I think are going to be pretty rewarding. So Joe, kind of fun to play with.
Yeah. So Joe, you make a good point about not having to be cost effective. I mean, if you look at the imaging gear, as I've mentioned before, like the price per shot, pretty expensive. It's something you don't want to calculate, right, Dave?
True.
Yeah.
Well,
Joe, if you figure out a way, because I got one of those Pixma things, Pixma printers.
Yeah.
But it always looks so different on the printer than it comes off on the screen.
Yeah, well, I can point you to a video from a professional photographer who will tell you straight to your face to don't do that. Never hold a print up to the screen. They're different media. I mean, a print is reflecting ambient light back in your eyeball from either pigment or dye ink. The screen is emitting light at your eyeball, and your brain treats those two things very differently. And so comparing those two media is a big mistake. Yeah, you want an acceptable result in both cases, but treat them separately.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One is
never
a
going to be
print,
the same.
one's is a print product, one is an online or an emitted product. Different
In the
different media.
in the print industry, there's a term called gamut. If you went up, you'll learn a little bit more about that. But yeah, Joe's absolutely right. The standards for transmission and reflection are totally different. You'll never achieve the level of black that you want in a printed object. So it's all kind of relative, right? You just want to get it kind of close and pleasing. It's never going to be the same.
I know
Dave,
if it looks overexposed and too much color saturation, it looks really gaudy, then I know it'll come out on the printer not bad.
Absolutely, and that's part of the printing process. You know, is to get the color balance and the brightness adjusted to what you want to achieve, and you're, you know, this is why people go down this deep dark hole of calibration of screens, cameras, printers, and you can spend a lifetime doing that and be a blithering idiot at the end. Just
Are
try
you
to
using-
relax a bit and enjoy each media on its own. Is what I would say.
Good point. So Joe, what do you think of recommending, like Dave, are you using printer profiles at all?
I'm not I myself, I'm not a printer. Like I just do everything for the screen.
I mean,
So
Dave
Dave
Payne,
Payne, okay.
sorry, Dave Payne, are you using printer profiles?
Yeah, like I'm not sure I fully understand them. I know there's Adobe RGB and then there's print.
But there's a set of instructions.
Those things affect the gamut, but the actual ICC profiles for each paper, ink combination is another science unto itself.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're already losing 3/4 of our audience here, but
Yeah.
never mind. It's printing is a profession.
Yeah.
If you want to take it that far. But all I'll say is the calibration and the profiles and all this other stuff we've been talking about, that'll give you some consistency though, because at that point, you're not just guessing on the screen as to what's going to happen on the paper or vice versa. You're actually can get some predictability about that, especially if you take notes.
Yeah.
Thought it was just a scam to have you print multiple pages of various colors so that you could compare it to waste ink, which costs $1,000 a glassful.
Yeah, well, I set this fancy printer up and looked at the printer supply after it had finished filling the little tubes that go between the cartridges over to the print head, and all the cartridges were down to about 1/3.
Can you actually refill them yourself?
No.
You have to buy cartridges then.
What do those cost? Any idea?
I'm not going to tell you.
Not bad, is it? Okay.
I know why Joe is not telling you.
Yeah, 10 cartridges. Yeah, it's over $600 for a set of cartridges.
Wow. Yeah.
But that's not a normal printer.
No.
But that 1/3 will actually print, a couple of hundred prints yet. So I mean, it's not bad news. It just is astounding to watch.
Yeah, that Canon Pro 1000, the full set, including the gloss or whatever the heck that last one is $1,100.
Yeah, it can get up to be the cost of half the printer. What I could do is just quickly review the bulletin we got from National. There's a couple of interesting things happening on it. If you would like me to do that, that'll only take 5 minutes. I realize everyone gets the email, but you may not have read it. Um, let's see if I can
Yeah, sure, that would be useful.
find the. Oh, yikes. Postbox, there it is.
Just while you're getting that started, John, can you hear us? I guess he's still out of earshot.
The first thing I wanted to highlight was this Tellurium thing. If people are beginners and or just haven't used planetarium software before, you can get Stellarium for free, and you can take this course that Toronto Centre is putting on this Stellarium training series. Unfortunately, the first one happened today, and of course they're 3 hours ahead of us, so it's already finished. But you can still register for the next one, and you just click on this red link here. Don't go on the wait list, because the wait list is over for tonight's session.
So are they recording them so you can do them later?
I have no idea how, but I know it'll be well done if Toronto's doing it. So, yeah. I'm just going to flash down here. We've already talked about the moon at noon before. You can still register for that, although they're midstream on this. The other thing I just wanted to mention was the GA is coming up. You can register.
Did you spot the typo?
Yeah, there you go. They just brought or sent out another email just to make sure that people know what's going on.
And we're not celebrating diversity in astrology, I guess.
I guess not. That would be pretty embarrassing. It must have been pretty embarrassing for whoever proofread that in particular. Anyway, only thing I want to highlight about the AGM or the General Assemblies, we always call it the GA, is that as Chris Gainor told us a few weeks ago, they are going to be charging for tickets, small charges for the tickets, so this year. So, and it's of course going to be an online event run by the National. That's really all I wanted, just to do a quick share and just highlight that, because it's all good stuff.
I've got another thing to mention. One of my little projects over the last little while is I've been researching and writing some more information about the amateur astronomers who got to use the Hubble Space Telescope. There's 12 projects from amateurs on Hubble in the 90s. And I have a short little section in my book about them, but I wanted to do something in more depth. So I've written up a longer piece, which is going to be in the RASC in June. But I also have done up a talk, which is sort of completely about them. I've done some talks where I sort of do my general Hubble talk and talk a little bit about these people. But this new talk I've done will be about them. Now, and I'm going to be giving it to the Halifax Center on Saturday morning, May 1st, or it's Saturday afternoon over there, but it's 9 in the morning here. And I just put the link up on the chat. But there's going to be a little special bonus in this one. I've rounded up 2 of those people who got to use Hubble, and they're going to be joining me. So we're going to be hearing from them and getting kind of some first person accounts of what it was like for an amateur astronomer to use Hubble. So I've been in touch with one of them before, and he talked to me about all the work he had to put into that, which is an amazing amount of work, including research, which wasn't that easy because that was still kind of in the pre-internet era. So it was a lot of work. So anyway, if you're you were looking for something to do on Saturday morning, that might be of interest.
What time is that, Chris?
9 a.m. our time.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll put the link up on the website in the summary as well.
Yeah. And I think I was talking to them about updating updating it to include the fact that we're going to have a couple of the people who had done the observing there. Oops. I'm just trying to find it, and this computer is doing everything except what I wanted to do. So just a second. Yes, with special guests. And Jim Stokowski was the first guy to use it. And he had a great, there's a picture of him in the Sky and Telescope when that happened back nearly 30 years ago now. But so it'll be fun to hear about that.
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks for letting us know about that and putting it on the website. That'll be good. I don't know. I think maybe we're out of luck tonight. I don't know. I don't know what's. Does anybody have a good western horizon from their locale? I'm a bit too low.
I went out and had a look. I could just see one. I presumed it was Venus because it was visible. I could not see Mercury.
So, and it may just about be, because I know Bill said it was going to have to be right pretty much around sunset, and I was just trying to look on the Stellarium or something to see.
What's the altitude, Chris?
Yeah, that was what I wanted to see.
I think it's almost gone now.
Yeah, I would suggest, it looks like it's like 3 degrees.
Oh. Well,
Yeah.
3 is okay.
Yeah, pretty low. So if there was any haze at the yeah, because it's saying the sun's about 4 degrees below the horizon according to this. Venus is at 2.3 and Mercury at, what is that? Just under 4, 3 point something. So yes, I would say it'd be pretty low.
And we're getting all the supermoon hype, you know. I watched the CTV National News before I came down for this meeting, and they had an item about the supermoon and pictures of the supermoon rising over Bondi Beach in Sydney, Australia, and
yeah, we got all the clever names for the moons, for the full moons now.
Yeah. So. Well, should we call it a night, I guess? Yeah,
okay.
I think we will. Well, thank you everyone for participating, and we'll see. You know, hopefully, if John did manage to get some video, he could show it to us at a future cafe. So we'll be back next week, and hope everybody has a good week and have a look at. Yeah, if you can participate on the Saturday morning session with Chris, that's great. And thank you for letting us know about that. And there are some good things on this week with Nationals. So hopefully that'll fill the time, as it looks like we won't have maybe too much clear sky this week.
Thank you very much.
Good night. Take care, everyone.
Yep. Good night.
Thanks.